Wir reisen jetzt sozusagen zurück nach Deutschland, denn wir werden jetzt mit einer Menschenrechtsanwältin und Aktivistin sprechen, Joumana Seif, die in Deutschland lebt. Sie unterstützte bereits in Syrien die Demokratiebewegung und setzt sich nun hier in Deutschland für die gerichtliche Verfolgung der Staatsfolter in Syrien ein. Zu diesem Thema arbeitet sie und forscht sie aktuell beim European Center for Constitutional and Human Rights, ECCHR. Und außerdem ist sie Gründungsmitglied des Syrian Women's Network und des Syrian Women Political Movements. Es ist uns eine große Freude, jetzt Joumana Seif zu begrüßen. And now I will switch into English once more. Joumana, it's an honor to have you with us this evening. I hope you're doing well. And we're very excited about listening to your inputs on what is happening in Koblenz, for example, what is happening in general with the situation of women's rights in Syria, constitutional rights, and the floor is yours, and we'll be happy to discuss afterwards, ask questions as well, and thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you so much. Good evening, everyone, and thank you so much for having me with you. Yes, I would start that with the crimes committed in Syria. As you all know that since the beginning of the revolution in March 2011, Syrian people have been subjected to various crimes of international law, like execution, torture, sexual violence, indiscriminate bombing, chemical weapons, and a long list of violations. All these are already classified as crimes against humanity and war crimes. Here in Germany, from 2012, ECCHR, the European Center for Execution of, I forget, can you imagine? Constitutional and human rights, started the investigation since 2012, and then from 2016 intensified its work with survivors, with the witnesses who were subjected to international crime in detention facilities in Syria, which was run by the intelligence services of Bashar al-Assad. And then later, started from 2017, ECCHR started to file the complaints. And since then until now, filed 7 criminal complaints based on the universal jurisdiction against the international crime committed in Syria, for sure with collaboration with its partner, that means the lawyers and the activist Syrian partner. And as a result of all of these, for all these series of the criminal complaints, we achieved an arrest warrant against Jamil Hassan, who is the head of the Air Force intelligence in Syria, and also the indictment of the Koblenzer tribe, and that's what I will speak later about it. So, and for these complaints or these criminal complaints, sexual violence was a part of all of these, and also including the complaints are here in Germany, which was filed and submitted to the German federal prosecutor, and also one in Austria and Sweden and Norway. Just ECCHR, it's like not only ask the national investigation here in each country, but furthermore to have collaboration or national collaboration between these countries to really to prosecute these criminals and to hold these responsible criminals to account. all these crimes were contained the sexual and gender-based violence, and that's mean gender and based violence crimes were a part of all these complaints. But in spite of that, unfortunately, these crimes were absent from the arrest warrants of Jamil Hassan and also from Al-Khatib trial, also indictment, and which is just only include two separated or individual cases of sexual violence and rape. And for that reason, on June 2020, we filed a special complaint, criminal complaint concerning sexual and gender-based violence. And in it, we filed it with our partnership two Syrian NGOs, Ornamo, human rights NGOs, Ornamo and the Syrian Women Network. And we filed the complaint on behalf of 7 survivors and with 7 survivors. On it, we argued that rape, sexual coercion, and deprivation of person reproductive capacity were committed as a part of a widespread and systematic attack against civilian population. And after that, we still waiting, that it's like still no response about that. And the survivors themselves are still waiting from the investigation and the prosecution for, especially in this crime, to be included and to be recognized as a crime against humanity. So concerning Koblenz trial and what we have achieved until now. Till now, the trial opened on the April 2020. That's about 6 months now. And until now, 42 court sessions have taken place. And what it happened from that time till now, it's like about 6 months. A lot of witnesses were heard, a lot of evidence were presented at the court and also examined from the court. A lot of expert witnesses, like the last 2 weeks, which it's like the court dealt with Caesar photo, and an expert from Cologne University, as I have to look for the name of the professor who Rothschild, I hope it's like I'm pronouncing it in a correct way, that Professor Rothschild started to analyze these photos. It's about 27,000 photos. Years ago. It started from 2017 with his partner, and he's just finished the whole project 2 weeks ago. And he came to the court with really very detailed presentation and studies with witches, and also he showed the pictures and explained the injuries that it's very painful that the survivor, the victims there, they were subjected to, and also he explained everything, and he said it's like he never saw kind of injuries like that before. And it was really very, very painful for everybody was there. And but what I wanted to say that it's a level of evidence, and that's how the evidence, this evidence as like the Caesar photo or other evidence, how that's are presented there and examined there, and that's mean publicly to the people. And many other also expert witnesses and insider witnesses, like the one that who was a guard in Al Khatib branch, and who was there, and he saw the defendant there, and the other who speaks, who was expert, was a part of the Al-Khatib branch, who spoke about the mass grave in Syria and give the answer of how it's like the fate of the bodies there, what's just were presented in Caesar photo, because it's like, as a Syrian, we don't know. We have Caesar photo, we know about them, but we don't know about where these bodies be there, and then what the fate of them. And then it's like many questions were answered, many information, many evidence were really presented there and speak about. So I think it's in this level a lot of information, a lot of, I considered it like a big, really a real achievement. It's on the level of the evidence, on the level of the truth knowing it's presented. I'm saying that because I know like there is some criticism about the Koblenzer trial, about that it's one of them, that it's targeting a small fish, the time that the other officials, the higher officials who are really the responsible of this crime are still free, are still enjoying impunity in Syria. So I can answer to react of that. It's true maybe that it's like this is the only way, that's universal jurisdiction, and what we are doing now is the only path that we can have, that we can go through, because the international, you know, the ICC, it's the road for the path, it's closed, it's blocked by the Russian vetoes, and we have no other choice. And for that reason, we are really working on the universal jurisdiction, and in this level, I think we are really, we have achieved, it's at least a big step toward the justice, especially when we are talking about the survivor themselves, what they're feeling. I work closely with them. I know their feeling, even despite it's really very painful that even to be there and to recall their memory, to speak about the details, the suffering, the torture that they were went through, but still they have the feeling that it's like some authorities, some people, that they are really, they do concern about them. They are taking seriously, as one of them told me. It's the first time I feel that now my suffering, my ordeal, that's everything I have been subjected to now. It's here, and somebody take care about that and want to really to do something for that. So I really, for the victims themselves, I think it's a big step. Also, it's at least give them a hope that it's like we are at least in the right direction for justice. And I think, and this trial, specifically, it's a blueprint, or it's the base of any other justice effort in the future. And for that reason, really, we applaud Germany, and we really appreciate what Germany is it's doing, and the effort. It's like they have done, and still ongoing, still doing. But also, we want all these crimes that committed in detention center to be recognized. And sexual and gender-based violence, it's really a very, it's like a crime against humanity, which is not only affect the survivor, the victim themselves, but also it was due to affect and fragmenting the whole society. And we all know the long-term impact of that, not only socially, but also economically and politically and in all levels. So yes, we still demand for more arrest warrant and for more arrest warrant and for SGBV to be included as a crime against humanity. And last thing, that's it's like the problem or the criticism that I have with many other Syrians, like is the German, the court, the Koblenzer court, it's only in German. And the translation, the Arab translation, it's not. It's just accessible for the journalist, the formal journalist who have a license of that. And as a lawyer and as someone that I'm close to, you know, the survivor, I'm working on this issue. I feel myself in the court, I feel myself just lost, disconnected, because even my German is worse than my English. So that's also another demand that we are working on, and we hope that the German authority, the court, will respond to that, and to also to SGBV crimes, especially that to be recognized and to be addressed, and the justice, the access to justice will be accessible, to be open for the survivor of sexual violence, especially as really we have really real brave survivor who wants to fight for justice. And we all know that sexual and gender-based violence, that's normally it's underdocumented. So just because that will affect our future, will affect, you know, the whole, maybe the transitional justice and the whole effort of justice and the future of Syria. So we still fighting for that, demanding for that, with our full respect and appreciation to Germany. I'll stop here, but I'm open to any question. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Joumana, for all these insights, these judicial insights, and also on your assessment about the Koblenzer process and its difficulties, for example, regarding the language. To all participants, to all listeners, you're very welcome to raise more questions. The first one by Francisca is the following. Joumana, do you know why Caesar himself was not testifying before the court, if she's informed correctly, even though his photos play such an important role in the trial? Is that for security reasons, she assumes? Could you elaborate on that? And the second question by Inge is if there is any psychological support for the witnesses, victims during the trials in Koblenz, speaking about traumatization and so on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for the first question, yes, it's a security reason for sure, but also it's Caesar, it's surrounded by a group which is, they know about all details and these things, so they can represent him, and yeah, I think that they will be present on the court, maybe soon. And concerning the survivor, yes, for sure, we are always we are working from the beginning with survivor-centered approach. That's mean we are providing at ECCHR, we are providing a legal support, a psychosocial support, or all kind of support, even from the beginning. And how, when we start, for example, to work on the SGBV complaint, we started the communication with the survivor themselves. It's like 3 years ago, and it took really 3 years to really to build trust, that to be sure, to make sure that they are in a good position, that that's mean health position, mental health, that to give their testimony, and then always our the survivors and witnesses that are supported by ECCHR, we are all the time offering the psychosocial support, and also to we are in like very close contact. That mean we are very open, and then we put all the options, the choices with them, and then who that the people who decide, and that every survivor is the one who decide about everything, about details, and always have the possibility to even to stop, to withdraw with to do whatever he decides. Our role is just to provide him or her all the options, all the support, and then they are the people who decide everything. So I think, and that's things that is really I've learned from ECCHR, and this way how to deal with the survivor.
Yeah, thank you so much for responding, and in this case in a positive way. There is a question regarding the perpetrators of crimes, state crimes as well, or crimes in the name of the state. If there is, do you have knowledge about how many, or like how many perpetrators are actually in Germany, in Europe, and also to have a kind of outlook on further trials? It's a bit, it sounds a bit problematic, but do you see potential for more cases like that?
Yes, for sure. I think that in general the criminal police or the investigation policies are really, they are investigating everything, and then they have details, and really they do concern about all details of that. Actually, there is no real numbers or statistic about that, and I think that if there is the perpetrators themselves, they are taking care about what the investigation that is ongoing in Germany. So there won't be any. Now I think they deleted everything. Evidence is like even in Facebook or any other thing. So any other social media. So I think the investigation should be even more to concentrate about these people. But I am personally, I don't think that's there is a huge number of them, but still, which is the good thing, that the activists, the Syrian activists, the Syrian survivor, really they are following. They have like a groups of activists in many areas who they know really the people, the perpetrators in many. In specific city or in a specific area, and they are communicating with each other, and that I think that would help the investigation, and would help the German police, and would help us. Sometimes it's like they really they try, and they contacted us and then give more information about some people, and they themselves start to really to collect the evidence against someone. So when it's also we have to evaluate the evidence, we have to evaluate everything, and then what it's really something serious, we ECCHR will react directly. That's what's normally happen.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Two final questions. One of them is, are Syrian refugees in Germany also scared of like showing witness in trial because of their families left back in Syria? So is there fear of intimidation or consequences for families in Syria? That is the one. And the very last question was, what was the role of civil society documentation in the Koblenz trial? And how far is civil society part of the same thing? And yeah, what's up?
Yeah. Concerning the first question, I think it's a big challenge, and it's the main challenge with the survivors themselves. As actually it's the first time that it's like to start even the accountability process when the same perpetrators or the same regime who committed all these crimes still in power. And it's like the first time that happened in the international law here in Syria. So yes, there are a lot of people that they still have relatives in Syria, maybe parents, brothers, sisters, whatever. They still they want to be a part of for example, Koblenz tribe, but still they are hesitating because they scared from the revenge, from the retaliation from the regime. And that's it's a big challenge that we are facing. But still for us, even it's like the safety, the security of the people, it's our priorities also. So always it's like we, even when we have some cases like that, we recommend people not to be a part, because we cannot it's like secure their needs. Like they have to be really afraid about their families, their family members, because we know the revenge of the regime. Yes, and sorry, Christoph, what was the other question?
The other question was regarding like the role of civil society in documenting the Koblenz trials. So
yes, I think in general, the civil society, the Syrian civil society played a great role in everything in Damascus, from happened in Syria in general from the beginning. And the level of documentation, the level of really creating this, supporting the people, the humanitarian level, it's anything. And still, I believe that still civil society should play also beside the documentation and then the human rights issue, also something on the culture level, on all other level that really support. It's like in some part we are working on criminal justice, but that also to be, because we are looking for, as strategic litigation, we are really looking for the change in the society, and that cannot be without the support of the civil society. So I think it's like any kind of activities that to support in this work, like exhibition, theater, any kind of arts, of culture, things that would also support that. And here I would like also to encourage people to engage with the Road to Justice Syria, Road to Justice campaign, which was launched also by the Syrian feminist NGOs, or Syrian women-led NGOs like Bada'il, Dawlati, Women Now, Syrian Women Network, Female Journalist Network. A lot of Syrian NGOs really to support survivors of sexual violence and gender-based violence, and also to make this change, to put for this change, not against the isolation, stigmatization, all excluding all this kind of inequality or discrimination that it's really as a consequences of being a survivor of for our victims of these crimes.